If you're still working in your late 50s because you don't know if retirement is actually possible, that uncertainty is quietly stealing your time. Today, I'm breaking down what happened with a 59-year-old client who thought he was too far behind to retire and what finally gave him clarity. I'm Emlyn. I'm a retirement planner. And over the last 2 decades, I've helped people stop guessing and start planning with confidence. And in the next few minutes, I'll show you the biggest mistakes people make at this age and how to avoid it. And this mistake shows up in almost every conversation I have. Here's what made this situation so relatable. This client wasn't reckless. He wasn't bad with money. He was doing exactly what most people do. He was 59 years old, still working full time, still contributing to his 401k. And from the outside, it looked responsible. But internally, he felt stuck because everywhere he turned, he kept hearing the same message. You should have saved more by now. You're running out of time. If you don't hit a certain number, retirement may not be possible. So he did what most people do at that stage. He worked longer, he saved harder, and he hoped one more year would magically make things feel clearer. If you ever told yourself this, just one more year, this probably sounding familiar. But at this age, the real problem usually isn't money. It's uncertainty. It's not knowing if you're actually behind, not knowing when you could realistically retire, and not knowing whether working longer is helping or quietly locking in. This is where things can get dangerous because when you're in your late 50s and early 60s, time stops being neutral. Every year you wait without a plan doesn't just delay retirement. It quietly removes options, tax strategies become harder to use, Social Security's decisions start locking in, and investment risks feel very different when your paycheck is about to disappear. This is the part no one warns you about. This client assumed the biggest risk was retiring too early. In reality, the bigger risk was continuing to work without clarity. Because when you don't know what your income looks like, you can't make confident decisions. You don't know when to stop working. You don't know how aggressive or conservative to be with your money. And you don't know what trade-offs actually matter. This is when he realized something important. This wasn't a savings problem anymore. This was a planning problem. And the next part is where most people get misled. They think retirement readiness is about how big their account balance is. But retirement doesn't run on balances. It runs on income. Two people can have $1 million saved. One feels confident about their retirement and the other feels terrified. The difference isn't the number. It's knowing how much that money can actually pay you every month. Your 401k statement doesn't tell you that. It shows you a big number, but it doesn't show you what that number turns into in real life. It doesn't tell you how much you can safely withdraw, what's guaranteed versus market dependent, or how long that income is designed to last. So people stare at balances and they still feel lost. This is exactly where this client was stuck because no one didn't tell him to save, but because he had to translate savings into a real retirement paycheck. And here's what the uncertainty actually was doing to him. He wasn't just worried, it was changing how he lived. He avoided spending money, even on things that he cared about, because he didn't know if it was safe. He delayed real conversations with his spouse about retirement timing because he didn't have the answers. Every year he told himself he'd feel better once his balance hit the next round number. But the number never solved the problem. It just moved the fear forward to the next year. That's the quiet trap. When you don't know your income, you just delay retirement. You delay living, and he could feel the window starting to close. This is where things finally started to change. Another piece most people underestimate is guaranteed income. Things like pension and Social Security. These aren't just benefits, they're the foundation of your retirement paycheck. This client had been obsessing over his investment accounts, but he hadn't even factored in what his guaranteed income could cover. When we laid that all out, it changed the entire conversation because guaranteed income creates a floor. It tells you what part of your lifestyle is already funded no matter what the market does. And once he saw that number, retirement stopped feeling like one giant unknown. He finally knew what was covered automatically and what needed to come from his savings. That separation alone removed a huge fear. The next moment is the moment everything shifted. After we talked through the balances versus income, and after we laid out his guaranteed income, I asked one simple question. If you stopped working tomorrow, how much monthly income would your retirement actually produce? He didn't answer right away. He just sat there because for the first time, he realized something uncomfortable. He had spent years focusing on saving, but never once had he been shown what his money was supposed to do. And finally, he said, I don't actually know. And that was the moment everything changed. Up until then, retirement was just a vague idea. No paycheck, no replacement number, no timeline, no clear plan, just hope. And hope feels safe until you're close enough to retirement that guessing becomes dangerous. And that's when he looked at me and he said something I hear all the time. So I'm not behind because I didn't save enough. I'm behind because I never planned. And he was right. And that's when we stopped talking about how much he had and started building a real retirement strategy around income, timing, and clarity. Once he realized the real problem wasn't saving anymore, it was planning, we slowed everything down, focused on the income first. We started with that. What would be reliable no matter what the market does? Social Security timing, pension income, anything that created a predictable monthly cash flow. For the first time, he could clearly see what portion of his lifestyle was already covered. That alone changed how he felt about retirement. Then we looked at his portfolio because saving for retirement and living off your portfolio are two completely different games. At 59, being invested like you're 40 can quietly cause risks people don't see coming. So we aligned his portfolio around his income needs, his risk tolerance, and his timeline, not just growth. Now his money had a job. Finally, we mapped out his spending, not generic budgets, his real life, travel, lifestyle goals, family priorities, and then we put real numbers next to real life retirement. Stop being theoretical. It became tangible. And once all three pieces came together, something changed emotionally. He stopped asking, am I behind? And he started asking, when I am ready. What surprised him the most wasn't the massive increase in his account balance. It was how quickly the anxiety faded. Before this, he was working out of fear of running out of money, the fear of making the wrong decision, fear of stopping too soon. After planning, he wasn't working because he felt trapped anymore. He was working with purpose because now every extra month had a reason. He finally understood the difference between being behind and being unprepared. He wasn't broke financially. He just didn't have the clarity. Instead of guessing whether retirement was 5 years away or 15, he now had a realistic window and a strategy to move forward with it. Not perfect, not magical, but real. If you're watching this video and you're around this age, still working, still saving, still unsure, this probably didn't feel hypothetical. It probably felt personal. And here's what I want you to hear. Feeling uncertain at this stage doesn't mean you have failed. It usually just means no one has ever shown you what retirement actually looks like. Because once you see your income, your timeline, and your trade-offs clearly, the fear fades and confidence replaces it. If you want the same clarity, there's a link in the description where you can share a few details about your situation. I personally review every submission. I'll send you a custom video breaking down where you stand, what decisions are coming up, and what your best next move might be. No pressure, just information, so you can stop guessing. After working with hundreds of people at this stage of life, one pattern always shows up. The biggest mistake isn't retiring too early. It's waiting too long because you never got clarity. Every year you delay planning, you lose options. Tax opportunities disappear. Income decisions become harder to change, and flexibility fades. At 59 and into your early 60s, this isn't the moment to guess. This is the moment to get intentional, because retirement isn't just about the number. It's about freedom, health, family, and living on your terms. If you are ready to stop guessing and start planning with confidence, click the link in the description. Share your information, and I'll personally review your situation. I'll send you a custom retirement strategy for you, and you'll know exactly where you stand, what decisions are coming up, and what your next best move should be, because clarity changes everything. My name's Emlyn, and I'll see you in the next video.